You don't get rich by wishing for money. You get rich by becoming the kind of person money is drawn to. Wealth is not a number. It's a mindset. If you don't first believe you're worthy of prosperity, even $1 million will slip through your fingers like sand in the wind. Years ago, I started the habit of saying, "Today I will move the needle." That's it. Maybe that meant saving $20 instead of spending it. Maybe it meant calling one potential client or writing one more page of a future book. Small? Sure, but intentional. And that changes everything. Because when you set an intention, you activate the part of your mind that starts to scan the world for ways to fulfill it. It's like a magnet. Focused intention draws in opportunity. I've met people who wandered through years of their life with no financial aim, no direction. They said things like, "I hope this year goes better." Hope is not a strategy. "I will" is a much better posture. And the reason is simple. When you speak "I will," you set your internal compass toward achievement. I will increase my income. I will save first. I will invest in something that grows. These aren't just statements. They're starting points for action. When you begin your day like that, something in the universe seems to cooperate. It's as if doors that were invisible before begin to show themselves. The phone rings. An idea sparks. A conversation happens. But it all starts because you were clear. So tomorrow morning, don't start with a scroll or a sigh. Start with a statement, a decision, a commitment. Start by saying what you will do and watch how the day begins to respond. The real power of affirmations isn't in shouting, "I am rich" into the mirror. It's in quietly, consistently affirming the kind of person who becomes rich. That's where the shift happens. See, money doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you've become. And so, if you want to attract wealth, stop focusing so much on the money itself. Start focusing on becoming the kind of person who naturally draws it in. I used to sit alone with a notebook and write not what I had, but who I was becoming. I'd write, "I am disciplined. I follow through. I keep my word. I attract opportunity because I prepare for it." And let me tell you, it felt odd at first. I didn't feel like a millionaire. I didn't feel valuable. But the more I affirmed that version of myself, the more I began to act in accordance with it. It's strange how the mind works. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am disciplined," something inside you starts resisting laziness. You don't have to be perfect, but you've got to declare who you're becoming. If all you do is say, "I want more money," you're speaking like a beggar. But when you say, "I am a person who handles money wisely," now you're speaking like a steward. And money listens to stewardship. Money moves towards structure. It flows where it's respected. That's why affirmations like, "I am trusted with wealth," or "I am a good manager of resources," are so powerful. They start to shape your identity, and identity drives behavior. Remember this, your income won't grow beyond your self-image. You'll sabotage it every time. So upgrade the image. Speak daily about the character you're building, not just the cash you're chasing. It's not magic, it's alignment. The person who can attract, keep, and multiply money is the person money is searching for. So become that person and affirm it until you believe it. Wealth doesn't arrive all at once. It grows inch by inch from the daily seeds we plant when no one's watching. Most people wait for a big break, a windfall, a perfect opportunity. But those who truly build wealth know that small, consistent actions are far more powerful than occasional big moves. You don't need to have a fortune to start. You need the mindset of someone who respects the process of planting. Every day I made it a ritual to plant something, $1 in savings, a book into my mind, a phone call to a potential client, tiny deposits. Insignificant, some would say. But let me tell you, those small deposits created a rhythm, a pattern, and over time they became the momentum that built everything else. The wealthy don't ask, "Can I afford to?" They ask, how can I make sure I always plant something today? Maybe it's just $1 invested. Maybe it's 15 minutes spent researching your next move. Maybe it's skipping a purchase you didn't need and putting that money aside instead. What matters most is that you become a person who plants daily. When you plant daily, you attract opportunity because you're already in motion. Let me give you an example. I remember a young man who started saving just $5 a week. Didn't sound like much, but he treated that $5 with respect. He invested it in a small index fund. He tracked it. He added a little more each month. 10 years later, not only had his money grown, but so had his discipline, his mindset, and his capacity to handle larger sums. See, the seed isn't just for the harvest, it's for the habit. The habit is what makes the harvest inevitable. So don't wait for a miracle. Don't wait for the big break. Plant something small today. Because what starts as discipline becomes wealth. And what begins as a seed becomes your future. Most people wait for the perfect time to build multiple streams of income. They say, I'll start when I have more money, or I'll begin once things settle down. But the truth is, wealth doesn't wait for comfort, it waits for action. If you make it a rule to build just one new income stream every year, you'll be amazed where you stand 5 years from now. And you don't have to start with a fortune. You start where you are, with what you have, and you build with intention. When I began my journey, I didn't have much, but I did have time in the evenings, a hunger to learn, and the willingness to try something new. I took on small opportunities, tested ideas, and reinvested what little I earned into the next one. My first additional income stream wasn't glamorous, just a bit of commission work on the side, but it taught me leverage. The next year, I added something else. Before long, those little trickles began to flow into something meaningful. And the magic wasn't just in the money, it was in who I became. I became a person who could create income, not just wait for it. Maybe this year your stream is a side hustle, consulting, selling a product, offering a skill. Next year it might be a small rental property. The following year, perhaps you build a digital course or collect royalties from something you create. If you commit to building one new stream per year, in 5 years you'll have a portfolio. Not just income, but options. Not just money, but security. And don't underestimate small beginnings. It's not about how big the stream starts, it's about the direction it flows. A small stream today can become a river tomorrow if you build with consistency and discipline. So the question isn't, can I do it? The question is, will I begin this year? Start now, start small, but start. Most people think the reason they're not wealthy is because they don't have money. But here's the truth. The wealthy didn't start with money either. They started with leverage. They built value, created systems, nurtured relationships, and sharpened skills. Capital came after. The biggest trap is believing that you need money to make money. No, what you need first is leverage, the kind that multiplies effort without multiplying stress. When I started, I didn't have a pile of cash, but I had a notebook, a pen, and the will to learn. I couldn't buy buildings or businesses, but I could build skills. I could read books, study strategies, attend seminars, and refine my ability to communicate and sell. That was my first form of leverage, learning how to influence and how to provide value. And it opened doors to partnerships, to opportunities, to income I hadn't even imagined yet. Leverage is what allows you to do one thing and benefit tenfold. A great system runs even when you're asleep. A powerful skill earns you respect and rewards. A well-placed relationship brings opportunities you could never access alone. The wealthy think, who can I learn from? What skill can I master? What tool can multiply my effort? That's leverage. Too many people wait for capital before they begin. But capital comes to those who've built the infrastructure to use it wisely. And the best news? Leverage costs almost nothing but effort. Your habits, your mindset, your network, your creative ideas, these are all forms of leverage, waiting to be refined. If you had no money today but built systems that solve problems, learned skills that bring value, and connected with people who are moving forward, you'd be wealthier than someone sitting on a pile of cash with no direction. So don't say, I'll start when I have money. Say, I'll build leverage now, because leverage is the ladder. And once you've built that, money finds you. When I was young and broke, I made the mistake most people make. I spent money on things that gave me nothing back. A shiny object here, a fleeting pleasure there. But it didn't take long for me to realize if you keep buying things that take from you and never things that return to you, you'll stay broke, no matter how much you earn. Wealthy people think differently. Before they buy, they ask, will this pay me back? That question changes everything. Because real wealth doesn't come from accumulation, it comes from investment. Not just in stocks or real estate, but in your mind, your tools, your time. A book that gives you one idea could add thousands to your income. A course that sharpens your skill can open a door that changes your life. Even something simple, like a meal with a mentor. If it shifts your mindset, it could be the most profitable purchase you ever make. That's the mindset shift. Stop thinking like a consumer. Start thinking like a producer. Before you reach for your wallet, ask, does this produce something for me? Not just pleasure, but value, knowledge, time, opportunity. That's how wealth is built. Through intentional spending, not impulsive buying. I remember a time I had only a little to spend. I could have bought new clothes, or I could invest in a seminar. I chose the seminar. That one event introduced me to an idea that increased my income for the next 20 years. That's a return you can't get from a new pair of shoes. So every dollar is a seed. And the question is, are you planting it or just eating it? Learn to buy what teaches you, what builds you, what multiplies. And if it doesn't pay you back, leave it on the shelf. That's how wealth starts to come your way. When I started taking money seriously, I realized something simple but powerful. What I don't track, I can't change. Most people live on financial autopilot. They spend, they earn, they hope it all works out. But hope is not a strategy. And if you want to make smarter moves with money, you've got to become a better observer of yourself. That's where the journal comes in. Not just for writing goals, but for capturing wisdom. And the best wisdom often comes from what happened just yesterday. Each morning, I would sit down with my notebook and ask myself two simple questions. What worked and what didn't? That's it. No fancy system, just reflection. And over time, I noticed something. Patterns. I saw which habits made me money and which drained it. I saw when I was sharp and when I was lazy. I saw how certain decisions paid off and others cost me. This habit didn't just make me more aware, it made me more strategic. If I wasted money on something useless, I didn't just forget it, I learned from it. If I made a smart investment, I recorded it so I could repeat it. You see, people often repeat their mistakes simply because they never paused long enough to learn from them. But if you review yesterday with intention, you can avoid dragging it into today. And it doesn't take long. 5 minutes, maybe 10. But over a year, that's over 300 lessons. Some about money, some about mindset, all of them about you. That's how progress is made. Not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing things better and better every single day. Because when you become a better thinker, a sharper observer, a wiser actor, that's when your financial life begins to shift. So track yesterday. Don't let the lesson go to waste. Let your journal become your teacher, and your wealth will follow. When I was younger, I didn't understand money. And worse, I didn't understand debt. I thought all debt was the same. I thought if the bank gave it to me, it must be a smart idea. But here's what I discovered. Not all debt is created equal. Some debt is a tool, and some is a trap. And if you don't know which is which, you'll spend your life building someone else's dream while yours slowly falls apart. Now, debt that builds an asset, something that pays you, that's different. A rental property that produces cash flow every month, that's a debt that works for you. Borrowing to invest in skills that increase your earning potential? That's an investment, not just an expense. But credit card debt from eating out too much or financing clothes you didn't need, that's the kind of debt that bleeds you dry. It's not helping you grow. It's dragging you down. So, here's the rule I lived by once I got smart. If the debt is building me a stream of income or increasing my value in the marketplace, I'll consider it. But if it's just feeding a lifestyle I can't afford, it's gone. Fast. I got aggressive. I sold things. I worked extra. I cut comforts. I didn't wait until it was convenient. I made it urgent. Because wealth doesn't grow in the soil of sloppy habits, especially not when those habits come with interest rates attached. Debt is like a silent tax on your future. The longer you wait to kill the wrong kind, the more it robs you of tomorrow. But once you get free from it, your energy changes. Your options expand. You stop working for the bank and start working for your dreams. So ask yourself today, is this debt serving me or enslaving me? And if it's the latter, make your move. Don't wait. Every day offers you a fork in the road, one path that leads to wealth and one that keeps you exactly where you are. The trouble is, those forks don't show up with a big neon sign. They're subtle. They're small. They show up as choices. Should I make coffee at home or buy it again? Should I scroll for 30 minutes or outline a new idea? Should I transfer that $10 to my savings or let it drift into nothingness? What I discovered is that money doesn't respond to luck. It responds to patterns. And patterns are made up of little daily decisions. You don't need to win the lottery or get a six-figure raise to change your life. You just need to start stacking wins, small, quiet, consistent wins that begin the compound effect. And one money-positive decision a day, that's the beginning of a pattern. It's the start of self-respect. When I started to turn things around, I didn't do it with huge windfalls. I did it by getting intentional with what I already had. $10 here, $5 there. I canceled subscriptions I didn't use. I made it a habit to move a little money toward my goals each morning before I let the world grab my attention. I started each day not as a consumer, but as a builder. That's a mindset shift you can feel. And once you feel it, you don't go back. It doesn't matter how much you make. What matters is how you think. What matters is how you act. Every time you choose to direct money, rather than let it disappear, you're taking the steering wheel back from your circumstances. You're proving to yourself that you're in control. And money likes people who are in control. So tomorrow morning, don't just start the day. Win it. When I was broke, it wasn't just my pockets that were empty. It was my perspective. I didn't need more money first. I needed better thinking. And I found that a single idea, if it's powerful enough, can shift the entire direction of a day. That's why I made it a habit. Every morning before the noise, I'd read one line of wisdom. Not a chapter, not a book, just one principle. Something about wealth, about value, about character. And I'd sit with it, turn it over in my mind, and let it guide my behavior for the next 12 hours. It's not that you need 1,000 truths. You just need one truth that you actually apply. One morning it was, don't spend more than you make. Another day it was, you become what you think about. And once it hit me hard, wealth is attracted, not pursued. That one changed the way I showed up. It made me ask, am I becoming attractive to opportunity, or am I just chasing it away with poor habits? A line of wisdom is like a seed. You plant it in the soil of your mind early, and by noon, it's influencing your choices. You spend a little less, speak with more integrity, follow up on that opportunity you might have otherwise ignored. Why? Because one sentence reminded you of who you're becoming and what you're capable of. Don't underestimate it. Most people are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. And the wise don't need a book every day. They just need one sharp idea to keep their aim true. Do this long enough, and your mind becomes a magnet for success. Your awareness sharpens. You start to see what you used to miss. That's how you build wealth. Not just with effort, but with perspective. So tomorrow morning, before the world gets to you, get to yourself. One sentence, one thought, one spark. If you want to get ahead in life, you have to stop waking up into chaos. See, average people stumble into their day hoping for productivity, but the wealthy, they plan it like an architect drafts a building. And the real secret? They don't wait for the morning to decide what the morning will be. No, they decide tonight. Before the day ends, sit down with a quiet moment and ask, what does tomorrow look like? Not in a vague, dreamy way, but practically. What time will I get up? What are the 3 most important money decisions I'll make? What task will move me 1 inch closer to freedom? Because if you wait until the alarm rings to figure that out, you've already lost control. The successful prepare twice, once for today and once for tomorrow. That's how you move through life with rhythm and confidence. Think about it when you plan your next day the night before. You wake up with clarity. There's no anxiety, no flailing. You're ahead of the world while it's still snoozing. And that mental edge compounds over time. One prepared morning becomes a productive week. A few productive weeks become a profitable month. And before long, you've created momentum that money can't help but be attracted to. I started doing this when I was just beginning to build my life. I'd sit down every evening with a pen and paper, no noise, no excuses. I'd write out what I wanted my next day to look like. Not just business goals, but personal standards. Wake up at 6, read 10 pages, call that client. Transfer $50 into savings. That little nighttime ritual created a kind of certainty that carried me through seasons when I didn't have a lot going for me, except discipline. You see, wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you attract by the person you become. And that's where it all begins. Not in the marketplace, not in your bank account, but in the mirror. If you want to change your money, you've got to change your mind. If you want to change your lifestyle, you've got to change your life practices. And if you want to attract success, then success must find you ready, worthy of it, capable of it, and prepared to manage it. Now, people often ask, how long will it take before I become wealthy? That's not the right question. The real question is, how long will it take before you become the kind of person wealth is looking for? That's where the change happens. That's the shift. That's the beginning of a new chapter. Not when the numbers change, but when you change. The future is not something we step into. It's something we create by the decisions we make today. Every discipline you develop, every daily action you take, every thought you reframe, that's the raw material of your future fortune. And let me say this, the difference between a poor life and a prosperous life is not luck, it's not lottery tickets, and it's not what other people give you, it's what you give yourself. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's your consistent, quiet determination to trade old habits for new standards. Discipline, my friend, is the master key. If you want to unlock wealth, you must first master the lock of self. The wealthy don't wait to feel good before doing what matters. They do what matters, and then they feel good. Action fuels emotion. And when you begin to see yourself take command of your day, your time, your choices, you begin to see the first signs of wealth, pride, purpose, and personal power. You don't need to start big. Just start. Put $5 into savings, cancel one wasteful subscription, read one page of a good book, say no to one temptation, say yes to one new discipline. Those little victories stack. They compound. One good decision leads to another, then another, and before long, you've become the kind of person who simply does the right things. People ask me, what's the shortcut? And I tell them, the shortcut is the long way done every day. There is no cheat code, but there is choice. The choice to be intentional, to make your days count, to put your focus where it matters on becoming more valuable. And as you become more valuable, the world will return the favor. It always does. Now let me ask you something important. If you kept living the way you did this past week for the next 5 years, where would you end up? What would your health look like? Your finances? Your relationships? See, wealth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by alignment. You can't say you want to be free, then live like you're enslaved to every impulse. You can't say you want to build wealth and spend like there's no tomorrow. You've got to live today in a way that earns you the future you want. And the best part? You don't need permission. You don't need a degree. You don't need someone to hand you the opportunity. You create it. You design it. You build it brick by brick through habits, thoughts, relationships, and focus. And you do it even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's where strength is born. And wealth follows strength. Money is not mysterious. It's obedient. It flows to order. It flows to structure. It flows to those who know how to handle it. And if you're not tracking, if you're not saving, if you're not investing in yourself, money will quietly leave you and go where it is respected. It's not emotional. It's mathematical. But the thinking behind the math, that's personal. That's where transformation begins. Now, maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you're buried in debt. Maybe you're discouraged. That's okay. You're not behind. You're just not aligned yet. But you can change that today. You can sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and write your first wealth rule. I always save first. I never spend without intention. I grow every day. You set the tone. You set the standard. And then you live by it. Do that for 90 days, just 90, and you won't recognize your own life. That's not wishful thinking. That's the law of cause and effect. And once you get those small wins, your confidence rises. Your belief grows. You begin to see that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with luck. It's filled with choices. You don't attract success by being desperate. You attract success by becoming dependable. The kind of person who keeps promises, even the quiet ones you make to yourself. You attract success by doing what's right, not what's easy. By learning more, saving more, building more, by showing up every single day even when no one claps, even when the results are small. Because you understand something most people never grasp. Small steps are not small when they're consistent. So here's what I want to leave you with. Don't wait. Don't wait for January. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. Take control today. Pick one rule, one habit, one change, and make it yours. Start your mornings with intention. Affirm who you're becoming. Track your progress. Reflect on your lessons. Create something. Sell something. Save something. Read something. Every single day. Stack wins. Build momentum. Become magnetic. Because the truth is, wealth is already looking for you. The question is, will it recognize the person you're becoming? So become the one worthy of receiving it. Speak with clarity. Act with courage. Think with discipline. Move with purpose. And live in such a way that when success comes knocking, you'll be home, dressed, and ready to receive it. The journey is yours. The time is now. The path is clear. Go build the life you were meant to attract. That's the real wealth. And it's waiting for you. Now go earn it.